In the shadows of royal courts, where power and secrets intertwined, there existed an enigmatic order known as the Black Monks. These were not your typical monks. They were the king's secret executioners, a silent force operating in the dark corners of history. Imagine a world where the cloak of religion concealed the blade of justice, or perhaps injustice. Who were these Black Monks, and what dark deeds did they carry out under the guise of divine duty? Stick around, because we're about to pull back the curtain on one of history's most intriguing and chilling secrets. Origins of the Black Monks. Explain the concept of covert royal executioners. The concept of covert royal executioners, often shrouded in mystery and legend, has its roots in the intricate power dynamics of monarchies. These executioners, known as the Black Monks, were not your typical state-sanctioned killers. They operated in the shadows, their existence often denied by the very courts that employed them. Their purpose was simple: to eliminate threats to the crown without the mess of public trials or executions. This could mean anything from disposing of political rivals to silencing dissenters who knew too much. The term Black Monks likely stems from the dark robes they wore, a stark contrast to the traditional white or brown habits of ordinary monks. This attire served a dual purpose. It allowed them to blend into the night, moving unseen and unheard. It also struck fear into the hearts of those who knew of their existence. The color black has long been associated with death and the unknown, making it a fitting choice for these secretive figures. Their methods were as varied as their targets. Some were skilled poisoners, able to brew concoctions that mimicked natural illnesses. Others were masters of the blade, capable of delivering a fatal strike with precision and silence. What set them apart was their discretion. Unlike public executions, which were often spectacle events, the Black Monks left no trace. Their victims would simply disappear, their fates unknown to all but a select few. The idea of covert royal executioners isn't just a relic of the past. Even in modern times, the concept of state-sanctioned assassins persists, albeit in different forms. Special forces, intelligence agencies, and other covert operations units often take on roles that mirror those of the Black Monks. The difference lies in the transparency, or lack thereof, of their actions. While the Black Monks operated in complete secrecy, today's covert operatives often leave behind a trail of evidence, no matter how faint. This evolution reflects a shift in societal values, where accountability and transparency are increasingly valued, even in the realm of national security. Recruitment and secrecy. Describe how members were chosen and hidden from society. The Black Monks, a shadowy group of secret executioners, were shrouded in mystery, not just in their actions but also in their recruitment and secrecy. Members were carefully selected, often from the fringes of society, where they were less likely to be missed or raise suspicion. Orphans, outcasts, and those with a troubled past were prime targets. These individuals were chosen for their desperation and lack of ties, making them more pliable and less likely to betray the group. The recruitment process was slow and methodical, ensuring that only those with a certain ruthless streak and a willingness to obey without question were chosen. Secrecy was paramount. New recruits were isolated, cut off from their old lives, and given new identities. They were often moved to remote locations, far from prying eyes. Communication with the outside world was strictly controlled, and any contact with family or friends was forbidden. This isolation served two purposes. It prevented leaks and fostered a sense of loyalty and dependence on the group. The Black Monks operated in the shadows, and their members were trained to leave no trace. They wore disguises, used aliases, and were taught to blend into any environment. Their very existence was a secret, known only to a select few within the royal court and the highest ranks of the organization. Training was rigorous and designed to break down the individual's sense of self. Recruits were subjected to intense physical and psychological conditioning. They were taught to suppress their emotions, to act without hesitation, and to follow orders implicitly. This training ensured that they were completely loyal and would not hesitate to carry out their duties, no matter how gruesome. The Black Monks' ability to remain hidden was a testament to their strict adherence to secrecy. They operated under the radar, striking when and where they were told, and then disappearing without a trace. Their secrecy was so effective that many of their actions were attributed to ghosts, demons, or other supernatural entities, further enhancing their myth and ensuring their continued anonymity. Duties and missions outline their role in eliminating political threats. The Black Monks, a clandestine group of executioners, operated in the shadows, serving kings and high-ranking officials. Their primary role was to eliminate political threats, ensuring the stability and security of the ruling class. These threats could range from rebellious nobles to foreign spies, and even disloyal members of the royal court. The Black Monks were tasked with neutralizing these individuals, often through lethal means, to maintain the status quo and protect the interests of their patrons. Their missions were diverse and often required a high degree of discretion. One of their key duties was to eliminate traitors and conspirators who posed a direct threat to the monarchy. For instance, if a noble was found to be plotting against the king, the Black Monks would be dispatched to silence them permanently. This could involve anything from staged accidents to outright assassinations, depending on the circumstances and the level of threat. Their methods were often brutal and efficient, designed to send a clear message to others who might consider betrayal. In addition to direct eliminations, the Black Monks also engaged in covert operations to disrupt political movements and undermine potential uprisings. They would infiltrate rebel groups, gather intelligence, and sabotage their efforts from within. This could involve spreading misinformation, turning group members against each other, or even orchestrating internal purges. Their goal was to ensure that any opposition to the ruling class was weakened or destroyed before it could gain momentum. The Black Monks were also responsible for eliminating foreign agents and spies who sought to undermine the kingdom's interests. This could involve tracking down and killing enemy operatives, intercepting their communications, and thwarting their plans. Their work was crucial in maintaining the kingdom's security and preventing foreign powers from gaining an upper hand. The Black Monks operated with a high degree of autonomy, often working independently or in small teams. Their actions were guided by the principle of absolute loyalty to their patrons, and they were expected to carry out their duties without hesitation or remorse. This unwavering commitment to their mission made them one of the most feared and respected groups in the realm. Tools and methods. Describe execution techniques linked to them. The Black Monks, a secretive group of executioners, employed a variety of tools and methods to carry out their grim duties. Their techniques were often brutal and efficient, designed to instill fear and maintain order. One of the most common tools was the sword. Executioners wielded various types of swords, such as the two-handed greatsword or the more manageable longsword. The sword was favored for its speed and precision. A skilled executioner could decapitate a person with a single, clean stroke. This method was often used for public executions, as it was quick and relatively less messy compared to other techniques. Another tool of the trade was the axe. Unlike the sword, the axe required more physical strength and skill. The executioner had to align the blade perfectly with the spine to ensure a swift and humane death. A poorly aimed stroke could result in a botched execution, causing unnecessary suffering. The axe was often used for beheadings, and the executioner would place the condemned person's head on a block before delivering the fatal blow. This method was less common than the sword but still widely used, especially in regions where the axe was a common tool. The Black Monks also employed more gruesome methods, such as the breaking wheel. This device consisted of a large, spoked wheel and a wooden post. The condemned person's limbs were tied to the spokes, and the wheel was then slowly turned, breaking the bones. This method was reserved for the most heinous crimes and was designed to cause maximum suffering. The breaking wheel was a public spectacle, intended to deter others from committing similar crimes. The executioner had to be particularly cruel and heartless to carry out this method, as it required a high degree of physical and mental toughness. Other tools included the guillotine, which was a more modern invention. It consisted of a tall, upright frame with a weighted blade that could be dropped to decapitate the condemned person. The guillotine was praised for its efficiency and precision. It was often used in countries where public executions were common. The executioner had to ensure that the blade was properly aligned and that the condemned person was securely fastened to the device. This method was less common among the Black Monks but still used in certain regions. The guillotine was a symbol of justice and order, and its use was often accompanied by strict protocols and rituals. Political manipulation. Show how kings used them against rivals. The Black Monks, a shadowy group of secret executioners, were often employed by kings to eliminate political rivals and manipulate the power dynamics of their courts. Their existence was shrouded in secrecy, allowing kings to maintain plausible deniability while effectively removing threats to their rule. These monks were not bound by the typical vows of their religious counterparts, instead pledging their loyalty to the crown and carrying out its darkest orders. Kings used the Black Monks to create an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty among their rivals. By employing these secret executioners, rulers could strike at any moment, without warning. This unpredictability made it difficult for nobles and other powerful figures to organize against the king, as they never knew when they might become the next target. The Black Monks' methods were often brutal and efficient, ensuring that their victims were silenced permanently. One of the most effective tactics employed by the Black Monks was the use of poison. This method allowed them to eliminate rivals without leaving obvious signs of foul play. Poisonings could be made to look like natural deaths, or even accidents, further shielding the king from suspicion. The Black Monks were also known to use other means, such as staged accidents or discreet assassinations, to remove threats to the crown. Their versatility made them invaluable tools for political manipulation. The Black Monks' influence extended beyond mere assassination. They were often used to spread disinformation and sow discord among the king's enemies. By planting rumors and manipulating information, the monks could turn rivals against each other, weakening their collective power. This subtle form of manipulation was just as effective as physical elimination, as it allowed the king to maintain control without resorting to outright violence. The Black Monks' ability to operate in the shadows made them ideal for such covert operations. Public myths explain how fear shaped legends about the Black Monks. The Black Monks, shrouded in mystery and dread, became the stuff of legends, their tales woven with threads of fear and speculation. These secret executioners, employed by kings, were not just historical figures but also characters in a dark tapestry of myths that gripped the collective imagination. Fear, a potent force, shaped these legends, transforming facts into folklore and amplifying the Black Monks' notoriety. In the shadows of castles and behind the closed doors of royal chambers, whispers of the Black Monks' deeds spread like wildfire. Their black robes, a symbol of death and secrecy, became a recurring motif in these tales. People imagined them as silent, ghostly figures gliding through the night, their presence alone striking terror into the hearts of the guilty and innocent alike. This image, fueled by fear, painted the Black Monks as more than mere mortals. They were spectral enforcers of justice, their very existence a warning to those who dared to defy the king. The legends often exaggerated the Black Monks' methods, turning their executions into gruesome spectacles. Stories circulated of their victims meeting their end in elaborate, torturous ways, designed to instill fear and obedience. These tales, though likely embellished, served a purpose. They reinforced the power of the monarchy and the consequences of rebellion. The fear they inspired was a tool, a means to control the populace and maintain order. In this way, the Black Monks became more than just executioners. They were symbols of the king's absolute authority. Yet, not all myths were born from fear alone. Some legends painted the Black Monks in a more sympathetic light, portraying them as tragic figures bound by duty. These tales spoke of their internal struggles, their reluctance to carry out their grim tasks, and their eventual redemption or downfall. Such stories, while still rooted in fear, added layers of complexity to the Black Monks' image. They humanized these enigmatic figures, making them more relatable and, in some ways, more terrifying. For if even they could be torn between duty and morality, what hope was there for the rest of society? Conflicts and betrayals highlight internal disputes or expose members. The Black Monks, a clandestine group of executioners, operated in the shadows, bound by secrecy and loyalty to their royal patrons. However, their world was not without its share of internal strife and betrayals. Power struggles often erupted within the ranks, as members vied for favor and influence. These disputes were not merely about personal ambition. They often had significant implications for the group's operations and the safety of those involved. For instance, a power struggle between two high-ranking members could lead to a breakdown in communication, resulting in botched missions or exposed identities. The consequences of such internal conflicts were severe, as the very nature of their work demanded absolute secrecy and unity. Betrayals within the Black Monks were particularly damaging. Members who turned against the group often did so for personal gain or to avoid punishment for their own misdeeds. Their knowledge of the group's operations and members made them dangerous adversaries. In some cases, betrayals led to the exposure of the Black Monks' activities, causing public outrage and forcing the group to operate even more covertly. For example, a disgruntled member might reveal the identities of fellow monks to avoid personal repercussions, leading to arrests and the dismantling of entire cells. The trust within the group was fragile, and once broken, it was difficult to repair. Exposed members faced dire consequences. Their identities revealed, they became targets for both the law and those seeking revenge. The Black Monks had strict protocols for dealing with such situations, often involving the immediate removal of the exposed member to prevent further damage. In some cases, exposed members were eliminated to protect the group's secrecy. The fear of exposure and the harsh penalties that followed served as a powerful deterrent against internal disputes and betrayals. However, The constant threat of exposure also created an atmosphere of paranoia and mistrust within the group, further fueling internal conflicts. Despite their secretive nature, the Black Monks were not immune to the complexities of human relationships. Jealousy, envy, and personal vendettas often played out within the group, leading to a web of alliances and rivalries. These internal dynamics could hinder the group's effectiveness, as members spent more time scheming against each other than focusing on their missions. In some cases, these disputes spilled over into the broader political landscape, as rival factions within the Black Monks aligned themselves with different power centers at court. The result was a complex and often volatile environment, where loyalty was constantly tested, and betrayal was always a possibility. Historical evidence explained documents or clues supporting their existence. The Black Monks, also known as the secret executioners, have long been a subject of intrigue and speculation. Their existence is supported by various documents and clues scattered throughout historical records. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from royal archives, where references to discrete agents or shadowy figures are mentioned in the context of carrying out sensitive tasks. These tasks often involve the elimination of political rivals or enemies of the state. The language used in these documents is typically cryptic, using euphemisms and coded phrases to obscure the true nature of the work. For instance, some royal decrees and correspondence between monarchs and their advisors contain vague references to necessary actions or unfortunate incidents. These phrases are believed to be allusions to the activities of the Black Monks. Additionally, there are accounts from chroniclers and historians of the time who hint at the existence of a secretive group operating under the guise of religious orders. These chroniclers often describe mysterious figures clad in black, moving silently through the night to carry out their grim duties. Another clue supporting the existence of the Black Monks can be found in the personal journals and memoirs of nobles and courtiers. These individuals sometimes recorded their suspicions or first-hand accounts of encounters with these shadowy figures. For example, one nobleman's diary mentions a black-robed figure who visited his estate under the cover of darkness, leaving behind a warning and a sense of foreboding. Such personal accounts, while anecdotal, add weight to the historical narrative of the Black Monks. Furthermore, archaeological findings have uncovered artifacts that some believe are linked to the Black Monks. These include peculiar symbols and insignia found on various objects, such as rings, seals, and even weapons. These symbols are thought to be markers of their secretive order. While the direct connection to the Black Monks is often speculative, the presence of these symbols in contexts associated with royal intrigue and political maneuvering lends credibility to their existence. The combination of documentary evidence, personal accounts, and archaeological findings paints a compelling picture of a shadowy group operating in the service of kings and nobles. And there you have it, folks. The Black Monks, a shadowy group of executioners who served kings and queens, have been shrouded in mystery for centuries. We've uncovered their chilling role in history, from their secretive initiation rituals to their grim duties. They were more than just executioners. They were symbols of power and control, their black robes striking fear into the hearts of those who dared to defy the crown. It's fascinating to think about how these monks operated in the shadows, their actions hidden from the public eye. They were the unseen hand of justice, or perhaps injustice, depending on who you ask. Their story reminds us that history isn't always black and white. Sometimes, it's as dark as the robes these monks wore. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the mysterious world of the Black Monks. If you're as intrigued as we are, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical mysteries and untold stories. Next time, we'll be exploring another fascinating topic that's sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, history is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. See you in the next video.